with the 2005 Yamaha YFZ450. As you guys know from last video, unfortunately, first ride, we blew the head gaskets.
Why is it dripping coolant? Look at that. I wonder if the head gas is blown.
Ooh, there's definitely air in there. Definitely pressure built up. Yeah, there's definitely pressure being built up. You can see it's all foamy, so there's definitely bubbles in there. So that was very unfortunate, and we saw that coolant was just coming up through the radiator, and then it was going and being pushed out through the overflow tube back here. And that's kind of a key indication that the head gasket's blown. You can take off your radiator cap and you can see a bunch of bubbles, and then as you rev it up you can see it spurt out the radiator, and that's just pressure being built up in there, and that's not good. So what happens is there's a leak in the head gasket somewhere, and then pressure from the piston is getting through to the coolant, and it's going through the lines and creating pressure, and that's why it's pushing it out the back. That's not good. So we're going to tear this thing down today and see what is causing that problem. I'm guessing the head gasket's just bad, hopefully. Otherwise, maybe I didn't torque it down correctly or enough. We're also going to look at the decompression mechanism, because as you guys know, this thing does not turn over with a brand new battery in it. You need to jump it, and then it has enough cranking amps to turn it over. I'm thinking that the decompression mechanism on this thing is stuck, causing some problems. So we'll take a look at the cam and that decompression lever, and then we'll order up everything, repair it, and take it for another ride to see if it's fixed. Time to drain the coolant out of here. We're going to see if we can catch some of this. Might be able to, might not be able to. We will see here. Alright, it's going to come shooting out. Hopefully I can save a little bit of it. Oh yeah, we're saving it. Wasn't a whole lot in there. Let that drain out a little bit. So these YFZ450s are notorious for blowing head gaskets. I looked it up and they blow all the time. So it's a pretty common problem. If you don't torque it down correctly, you're gonna blow it like right away. And I did torque it down correctly. At least I thought I did, but we will see. Maybe the high compression just was too much for it. I don't know. We got the pipe off already. We gotta get the oil lines off, carburetor off, coolant lines off, and carburetor off, and then we can get to the head. All right, time to get the valve cover off. Yeah. That's working. Alright, we're gonna get this thing to top dead center, check the timing. We're gonna check and see if that decompression mechanism's working. I also have a spare cam for this thing. First. These are all the same length of bolt, so it doesn't matter how you put these back. Gotta be careful not to drop anything down there. All right, tensioner is off. Cam chain should be loose now. Yep. First cam off. Seems good, but we'll check that. Tie it right to the frame. Other cam. Bearings feel good. Going a crisscross pattern, taking these off. Oh, they were not loose. Suckers were tight on there. Right, now the head can come off. Careful not to drop anything in there. Alright, so the surface of the head right here, where the gasket goes, looks pretty smooth. Probably could be cleaned up a little bit, but it's not horrible. No pitting or anything. So that wasn't the problem. Let's go take a look. I haven't taken a look yet, but let's go take a look at the gasket now on the head and see what that looks like. Oh, that's the problem. You can see it's all worn off right here. Let's get that guy off of here. Take a closer look. Alright, the surface of the head looks pretty good. And here is the gasket. You can see it's ripped in a couple places. So that was probably why that went bad. You can see it's all bubbling up. But we'll measure that and make sure that's the correct size so we can order up a new one. Right, so we finally got the gasket in the mail here. It is this thing was so expensive. It was a Yamaha YFZ Athena gasket kit. This thing was like $75 for just the base gasket and the head gasket. And I had to get this type of gasket because that was the only one that matched the cylinder here. Must be an Athena cylinder on here. And I didn't know that. But it's a 98mm Athena cylinder. I don't see any markings on the cylinder, but it must be because these holes line up perfectly with it. So the old gasket's over here, and that was an Athena one as well. If you look, all the patterns are the same. Yep, all the holes line up perfectly. So it must have been an Athena kit, which is a pretty nice kit considering the gasket's $75. So let's install that next. We already cleaned up the surface of the cylinder, so that's all good. So let's just drop that on there and then get the head cleaned up. And then we'll reinstall everything and hopefully that fixes the problem. Make sure we don't wreck it here. Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect fit. Get the timing chain through. Don't want to drop anything in. We don't have to. Tie that off. All right, now there's a specific torque procedure that we need to follow, so let's do that next. All right, first step in the torquing process is to set your torque wrench to 22 foot-pounds, and we're going to go in the crisscross pattern. So just kind of work your way around here. You want everything to 22 foot-pounds. And this is if you're using a new gasket. Now the next step is to take them out. So we're going to loosen them up in the same crisscross pattern. All right, we're going to retighten to 14 foot-pounds. I'm going to tighten these up. Now it says to mark each bolt with a marker and then tighten to 180 degrees off this mark. So we're going to mark the bolt in the cylinder and then we're going to turn it another 180 going in the same pattern. And it says to do 90-degree intervals. That one moved a little bit. Let's do 45-degree intervals here. Seems like a lot of torque. Those are on there. Holy crap. Alright, we've got it set to top dead center. We're gonna put the cams in. See the two markings? The dot right there and the dot right there. So one is gonna be right here with the surface of the head. This one's gonna be vertical up and down. So it's gonna go in there like that. Lobes are gonna be pointing this way. The decompression mechanism in the other cam is working, the exhaust cam. You can see everything's working smoothly. I thought maybe that was why it wouldn't turn over with the battery, but I guess that's not an issue. Alright, we got the timing spot on here. You can see there's one notch right there, one right there, one right there, and then one right there. So these are parallel with the surface of the head. This one's straight up and down, that one's at 45. So those are perfect, and then we've got it lined up with the notch down here. I don't know if you guys can see that in there or not, but it's the notch right after the H looking symbol. So see, it's perfect right on there. You guys can see that here. So that's all done. Let's get the cam cover on, and I'll quick check the valves just to make sure those are in spec, but I just adjusted those like maybe a week ago, so they should be fine. All right, we got everything back together on the engine. We just need to add some coolant now, and we'll see if she starts up. Alright, that looks like that's topped off there. We're going to start it with the cap open so that can drain down, because that will bubble down eventually. Let's see if the pipe turns red here. Not getting red, that's good. Coolant's boiling though. What the heck? I don't know what's going on with this thing. Alright, so I put a bigger main in. I think I put a 178 in. And before it was a 165. So It seems to be running better now, and I figured out that the slide was sticking. So the cable right here was like kind of janky, so I pushed that back in, and now it seems like it's working. So I'm gonna start it up here and we'll see what happens. We're hoping that the coolant doesn't overflow, and if it doesn't, then I think we fixed it. So right now you can see it's topped off. It's like right here. It kept on boiling over before, and it wasn't bubbles, it was actually boiling. So let's see if we can start her up. And I charged the battery overnight. You can see I trickle charged it and it's green. So hopefully this thing can start up with just the battery and not the jumper. Alright, it's been 7 minutes. No boiling over. Pipe is cold. Or not cold, but not turning red. Let it go another 7. And then if it passes that test, we should be good. Alright, we let this thing run for 15 minutes idling. And typically when these idle for 15 minutes, they get really, really hot. And we didn't have any problems. It wasn't turning red. The coolant wasn't boiling, so I think it's fixed. I guess we won't know until we take it for the first ride and go hard on it and see if it overheats. But we know the fan works. We know that kicks on at least, so we will see. I also cleaned out the carburetor again just to make sure there's no debris in there causing problems, and then reattached everything. And I probably cleaned that carburetor and put new jets in it probably 10 times now. So I can take that carburetor out in my sleep. So anyway, hopefully this is the fix. We're gonna put everything else back on it and then take it for a ride at my parents' house, and hopefully it fixes the problem. All right, let's see if she overheats today. We'll walk around here in case you guys forgot what it looked like. Hopefully this works, because I've got about, what, 5 more hours into it for the head gasket. Plus another $75 for the head gasket into it. Alright, let's see if she starts up. Alright, well, she started. We'll go throw the GoPro on right away. Let this thing warm up for a bit. Feels pretty good. This thing has a ton of power. This thing is fun.
No lights came on yet, so that's a good sign. Just taking her easy. This is all ice underneath here. See how she's doing. Man, running a lot better. It feels like, at least. Oh yeah, baby, nothing's coming out of the overflow right there. I think we fixed her. Is the fan coming on? Fan's not even on. Yeah. That's awesome. Good. Holy cow, does this thing have power? Alright. going hard on her just to really test her out. Oh yeah, still not leaking. I think we fixed her, boys. Oh, does that feel good? Yeah, baby. She's fixed.
Alright, so she's fixed. Didn't overheat at all. And we didn't lose any coolant back here. So everything looks perfect. So yeah, I think it was the head gasket. Plus I rejetted it for bigger jets for the pilot and the main. And that seemed to help. So we're running a 178 for the main, and the pilot I think is a 55. So quite a ways up from the stock settings, but this does have a 98mm big bore kit on it. So, but yeah, running good, driving good. This front tire was locked up last video. Let's see if that's still locked up. Yeah, tires are free. I don't know why that was sticking last video. Maybe because of the snow. Not too sure. But these tires are pretty good in the snow. They grab pretty good. What are they? Sedona Bazooka tires. Pretty good tread on them yet. But yeah, I guess that's it for today's video. This thing's finally fixed after, what has it been, like a month? So anyway guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for all the suggestions on this thing. But it turned out to be the head gasket and the jetting. Till next time, we are out.